At the time of recording this, the woefully disappointing PulseCon was last weekend, which proudly showcased, at least for Transformers, a bunch of reissues and repaints. On the surface, there's nothing really to note about this wave, as these figures were all somewhat hard to get and put out in a new form. But I believe, when you combine these reveals with a lot of the information that's been coming out in both interviews and from leaks, it begins to paint a picture of the future. So let's get into it. I want to be clear with what I'm saying, so allow me to clarify a little bit. The straight reissues are not what I think the future holds. Though obviously we see, and will continue to see, that we get at least 1 to 2 repacks to just fill out a wave. What I'm not saying is that we'll get more waves like this one where it's mostly reissues. That part of this wave is very unique in circumstance, which is Hasbro responding to the fan outcry of some of these figures being hard to get. Now for the portent at hand. United Wave 5 shows it the clearest, but you can also see hints of it in United Wave 4 as well. So for those who don't know, it's been discussed by the Hasbro team that they get a year's budget for each size class. So to use United as an example, Voyager M8 Motormaster, Optimus, Galaxy Force Starscream Vector Prime, Metalhawk, and Silverbolt all share the same tooling budget, and you can see how that's distributed among the figures based on who's a new mold, a partial, or a straight repaint/repack. In a recent interview, and forgive me, I don't have the direct link to it, as over the last few months, the Transformer team has done several interviews, but I want to say it was the one with John Warden. Regardless, in the interview, they talk about the future of Generation Selects. That's the base question. And they let slip a very interesting detail. It's said that while Selects will continue, a lot of what defines Selects, that being obscure repaints, are finding more and more of a home in mainline due to the rising costs. To bring this information all together, due to the various factors like inflation, material cost, and corporate greed, repaints are going to be used to pad out the waves more and more to keep costs down. We can see this a lot already in the leaks for next year across both Studio Series and Age of the Primes, with repacks, repaints, and low-cost retools being plentiful in the listings. Keeping it real, I buy maybe 5 mainline figures a year, so this doesn't affect me. But, contrary to what you may think, I don't necessarily have a negative view on this. As long as the repaints and repacks make sense and have genuine effort put into them, it could be for the better. I also think more repacks should be along the same lines as United Wave 4 Metalhawk, where they adjusted his colors, despite just being a repack, to give him more of a toy appearance. This is a cheap but clever way to add more value to a repack, and I think it'd be a winning strategy for Hasbro. All of this was just a running thread I've noticed recently throughout interviews and reveals, and I wanted to take the time today to point it out. This is Aviator Dan's, signing off.